I walked out of Captain America Civil War on opening night with my 5 friends, and all of us were talking about how great the movie was. That night at dinner, we raved about how this might be our new favorite Marvel movie. That weekend, we started to analyze the film and talk about some of the small problems we had with the movie. The more we discussed, the more we realized that the problems we had weren't as small as we thought. So this is my rundown of the good and the bad of Captain America Civil War, with some spoilers. Anything that Marvel movies normally get right, this movie hits the nail on the head. The action scenes are exciting and perfectly choreographed for each character's fighting style. The comedy is well timed and keeps the movie light and fun. The feeling that you get when you see all of these heroes together on the big screen is just as awesome as the first Avengers movie. And finally, the thing that has always impressed me about the MCU is their spot-on characterization. Every single character in this movie feels like they were ripped straight out of the pages of a comic. In this movie, the audience is introduced to 3 new characters: Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Baron Zemo. Tom Holland played an amazing Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and I loved that there was a difference between the awkward teenager and the quippy hero. Black Panther was brilliant. Every line he had somehow made him cooler than the last. His aloof attitude and regal stature didn't detract from his interesting and heart-wrenching character arc. And although this movie is mostly about the heroes, I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention Daniel Bruhl's performance as the movie's villain. Zemo was well fleshed out, well acted, well written, and unlike most of the villains in the MCU, he actually somewhat succeeds in his goal and manages to survive the film. Now for the bad bits. And before I go down this road, let me just say that this is my subjective opinion, and I don't think any of it detracts from how much fun the movie is to watch. A lot of these are just issues I have with the MCU as a whole. Now, just like this movie nails anything that Marvel normally gets right, this movie is also weak where Marvel movies are traditionally weak. First, there's the endless commercialization up to and including the final end credit scene, which, if you ask me, was basically just a commercial for Spider-Man Homecoming. It's always bothered me that Marvel spent all this time setting up a great and expansive universe, and now they're kind of cheapening some of the best parts. My next issue is that Marvel seems to have a problem with providing proper build-up to give a better payoff. If we had been shown in any of the previous movies that Tony Stark was badly affected by the death of his parents, the final fight would have meant more. Instead, we get a shoehorned CGI flashback that tries a bit too hard not to be a cliched flashback. The one build-up done phenomenally in this movie is that between Steve and Bucky, and that's because it felt intentional. There was a direction to it. It had a purpose. It wasn't added in 5 minutes before filming to try to make it less weird that the usual unemotional and logical Tony Stark would emotionally and illogically lash out at the man that he already knew was brainwashed. And finally, my biggest problem with Civil War is that it's just too light. This could have been a great chance to add some serious emotional impact into the universe. If one of their friends had died because these heroes couldn't work out their petty differences, there could have been some real grit to the film. Instead, we're left with an airport fight scene where no one except Black Panther is actually trying to hurt the other side. I thought that might change when War Machine was shot out of the sky. But they didn't kill him. They couldn't even keep him crippled for half a movie and leave the audience with some suspense. No, this movie ends, like most Marvel movies, with everything inexplicably wrapped up in a neat little bow. Sure, the Avengers are broken up, but Tony got an apology letter from Steve, an olive branch in the form of a cell phone to call the team back together, the Avengers are already out of jail, Rhodes is already walking again, and Bucky is safe in Wakanda. I am holding Marvel to a higher standard of narrative development. I know Marvel isn't dark, but that doesn't mean they should avoid real consequences by sacrificing logical story progression. They don't even need to kill someone off to do this, but as long as they sugarcoat every ending, there's never going to be enough tension for me to believe that anything real was ever on the line. Thanks for watching my rant, and I hope I see you next time.